Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, starring Ian Griffith, Jessica Alba, Chris Evans, Michael Chiklis, Julia McMahon, Doug Jones, and Lawrence Fishburne as the voice of the Silver Surfer, and directed by Tim Story. Now, before I get into this movie, I remember this movie coming out and how excited I was that I went to a midnight showing of this. This is only my second midnight showing after Spider-Man 3. And what did I think of it then? Well, I remember liking it, but what do I think of it now is the real question. Let's get into it. I do like the opening sequence of a planet getting destroyed by not the Silver Surfer, but Galactus, which doesn't he have a purple hat in the comic books? But I do like the Silver Surfer making water stop moving, making Egypt snow, and causing blackouts. That was a good sequence for an opening. How would you have the Thing flying in a plane and coach with Reed and Sue and 100 other people? Like, wouldn't it weigh too much on the plane? Like, didn't that same thing happen to Kevin Smith off a plane? Didn't they get him off a plane at this point because of his weight? That makes no sense. Especially how they managed to get him on the flight. With an exception of Alicia and Johnny and the Silver Surfer, of course, I don't like any of the characters here whatsoever. Not even Reed, Sue, Ben, Victor, and General Hager, who's a new character and is a complete asshole. And excuse me for saying that, but it's unfortunately true. Reed, Johnny, and Ben have a bachelor party, and Sue comes in with General Hager, and after Reed refuses to build the machine to find the Silver Surfer, Sue says the stuff about how she did at her bachelorette party after she finds out what Reed does at his bachelor party, and takes off and goes hee. Stan Lee makes a cameo at the wedding of Reed and Sue, and I do like the cameo. The Silver Surfer, played by Doug Jones, who I'll be getting into more when I see some of the Guillermo del Toro stuff, like Hellboy and all that stuff. And voiced by Lawrence Fishburne from The Matrix, comes by and crashes the wedding, and Johnny goes after him, and I love that sequence. I also love the effects on the Silver Surfer. He looks very much like a glass. I honestly can't believe this got away with a PG rating because of what Johnny says to Ben about a rock slide in bed with Alicia was a little too crude for a PG rated movie. And if you're going for a PG rating, that's fine, but don't make crude comments like that. It's head scratching. Johnny and Sue touch each other, and Sue becomes, well, not physically, but like she feels his temperature, and she becomes on fire. Johnny is again too crude, and is a crude scene. Why would you do that for the nudity's sakes? Like, oh my god. I love the way that when Ben touches Johnny, and Johnny becomes the Thing, and Ben becomes the Human Torch, and when they switch back to their own selves, and Ben says, "Duh, crap." That was just so funny. Dr. Doom encountering the Silver Surfer was a dreadful scene in the snow, and we do see the Silver Surfer use his powers on Dr. Doom, and I did like that, but Dr. Doom made it just dreadful. General Hager gets the Fantastic Four to London, and they encounter the Surfer, and Johnny tries to attack the Surfer, and the General blames the Fantastic Four for Johnny's mistake and gets Victor back together with the Fantastic Four. And what a questionable decision on trusting Victor in the first place. I mean, really. While working with Victor, Sue torments him with her expanding people with the force field until they explode. Was really give me a break. Just prove it. I don't see it. Just really. Especially from Alba, in my opinion. Ben encounters a bear and having a roaring contest while trying to capture the Silver Surfer, and the Surfer comes up to Sue, and she asks why he's destroying planet Earth, and he says, "I'm not the destroyer," and to be honest, He's not the Destroyer. And I'll get to who it is in a few minutes. But first we need to get to the action sequence, and it was too quick for Reed and the gang pretty much to take down the Surfer with the pulse. And Victor and the General try to torture the Surfer, but doesn't succeed very well, I feel like. The one who the Surfer serves is named Galactus, excuse me. And the way he explains that he eats planets to survive was making me check out of this movie at that point, even though there are things I like here, but the movie starts to fall apart. Victor, grabbing the board, takes off with it, and the Fantastic Four have to go after him, and we find out the Surfer's name is Norrin Radd. Like, what a big deal in the comic books, but for this movie, not really. The fight goes on in China, and Sue gets stabbed by saving the Surfer's life, and he heals her before saying to Galactus, "I no longer serve," and destroys Galactus for good. And Johnny fights Dr. Doom and with a mixture of Reed, Sue, Ben, and his own powers in the water, and gets him in the water at the end. And the fight was and it remains to get married, which, how cute. Galactus is destroyed, Doom is stuck underwater, and the world is saved, so they have a quick wedding scene, and it ends quicker than ever. Like, what's the point of this movie other than introducing the Silver Surfer to the movie world? Probably nothing in my mind. But during the credit scene he's alive, and by he I mean the Silver Surfer, and we're led to believe that he's dead, but there may be a sequel or a Silver Surfer solo movie, but both we will never get. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 3.8 out of 10. This thing is forgettable and very short for a 90-minute movie. Like, this was a waste of Marvel's talent and a dreadful piece of work. But there were some things I liked better, but this is the worst live-action Fantastic Four, and they thought the reboot was worse. And I'll get there after I discuss The Punisher. The reason I'm saying this now is because The Punisher has a TV show on Netflix that I'm going to watch and maybe review. I'll think about it. But then I'll go back to Fantastic Four with the reboot after The Punisher. So, thank you guys for joining me for Fantastic Four, and I will be back with the reboot in a few weeks. And until next time, it's clobbering time.